an opening.
No, go ahead. I can introduce you if you want. This is Marta Saris from our Department of Education, and she is going to talk to us about the certification process.
Yes, welcome, guys. I will try to keep this brief and very casual. So if you guys have questions, just drop it into the chat, or we can touch base afterwards. Again, I'm the certification officer for the department, which means that I will be reviewing your credentials within the department before we send your information over to the registrar. And we send the information over to the registrar so you can get the MAP stamp. That stands for Maryland Approved Program Stamp. And that is in addition to your graduation notation. The school systems, MSDE, Maryland State Department of Education, is looking for that MAP stamp because it signals them that you have completed an accredited approved program. So getting a license with the MAP stamp is smooth sailing. Again, how do you get the MAP stamp? You have received a handout, and there's a list of things in them that you have to complete. Again, if you're undergraduate, you have to complete your undergraduate degree. Everybody has to complete all their education courses. You have to complete your internship. You have to have your CPP or SOAR. I'm not sure which one we are using right now in the transition phase, and you have to have your portfolio. So all of these you have to have completed with a 3 or better for the CPP, SOAR, and portfolio. So you have to have an overall proficient or better on these assessments. So you have all of those pieces. You also have to have the Praxis tests. You might have heard that if you have a 3.0 or 3.0 or better GPA, then you do not need the Praxis score. If you have it, great. If you don't have it and you have a 3.0, you're still good to go. You also have to have the Praxis 2s. Right now, you guys have 3 Praxis 2s. They recently added a reading assessment. So please make sure that you have all 3 pieces. I can drop a link into the chat to MSD's website that lists those requirements, and we follow MSD's requirements. So if MSD requires that course for licensing, Praxis for licensing, we require the exact same Praxis test for you to get the MAP stamp. Has anybody taken the Praxis? Everything? Mm-hmm. If you guys wouldn't mind emailing it to me, I have access to the ETS website, which usually has everybody's information, especially if you marked us as score recipient, but not always. So if you have it, please email it to me. It's usually quicker. If you are taking it in the future, again, you will have it before I have it. Once you get it, please just email it to me. That's the quickest way to get rolling. I will stop for 1 second and see if there are any questions. So you have to complete everything, Praxis, assessments.
Okay. What was that? I don't know what it was. CC something you were saying? I couldn't understand. When you were giving the list of stuff?
CPPA, I think you guys are now using SOAR. That's the observation instrument that your mentor, teacher, supervisor.
Star, okay.
So that's when they go in, they observe you, they score you. They're formative and there's a summative at the end. Yes. Are we clear on that? And everybody, you have to complete it. Your mentor teacher has to complete it. Your supervisor has to complete it. So sometimes we have to wait for all those different pieces to come together. Okay, so you have completed your courses. You have passed Praxis 1, 2. Now you are ready to go to the registrar's office if you have the graduation stamp. Early childhood groups are usually in kind of this weird cycle. So some of you might be graduating in December, some of you might be graduating in May, but you need to have the graduation stamp on before we can proceed with the map stamp. Who's graduating in December? So most of you. Okay. So anybody who's graduating in May, you guys gonna get the map stamp once you graduate. That brings me to the timing. So you guys gonna finish up early December. Grades are not actually due to the registrar until early January. If you're graduating, there's a graduation review process, graduate school, undergraduate departments, the registrar's office. It all takes time. So we are looking at the end of January, early February possibly, by the time you have your official transcript with your graduation notation and with the map stamp. And let me make this clear that please, 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 before you order and pay for an official transcript, log on to My UMBC unofficial transcript. And if you scroll down at the bottom, you will see, first, you will see degree awarded. That's the notation that means that you have completed a degree. And below that is a text box that says something along the line of, this student has completed the MSD CAPE approved program in early childhood education. You are looking for that text box, because that is the stamp, that text box. So please, 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 again, check it before you order and pay for it. Many of our students just jump the gun and get the transcript, submit it to MSD or the school systems, and then it gets rejected because it doesn't have the stamp. If you have a job offer and they are really antsy, let me know. I have a form letter I usually send to the school systems that says that, yes, this student has completed the program. The stamp is in the process of being applied to their transcript. So this is, just a little bit of time. Again, they will need the official transcript. This just buys you time. Any questions right now? Okay, so you're done. You graduated, there's the map stamp on your transcript. At this point, UMBC's responsibility towards your teaching degree is done, because it is your responsibility to obtain an official teaching license, either through MSD or if you're moving to another state, through that state's Department of Education. Again, let me repeat this because many of our students miss this. This is your responsibility to apply for a teaching license. If or when you are hired by a school system, the school system's HR department will do this for you. They will collect your information and they send it to MSDE, and then MSDE will send you a license. Send you a license means they will send you a nice, pretty, colorful PDF file to your email. That's going to be your teaching license. So please make sure you have an email address that you intend to keep, that you access, because it's a PDF file emailed to you. Again, the HR department will do this for you, but you can also apply on your own. So if you want to get your teaching license and go to interviews with your teaching license in hand, you can do that. One word of caution is that once you have a teaching license, every 5 years, you will need to renew it. You will have to have continuing education credits, just like with any other kind of professional license. If you are teaching and in a school system, this is not an issue because you will receive enough professional development hours. If you plan to travel through Europe for the next 2-3 years and don't intend to teach, you don't necessarily have to apply for a teaching license right now, because the clock starts once you get your license. Any questions at this point? I know I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you.
I have a question. So do you know if it costs anything to get the teacher license, and where we would, I imagine MSD's website is?
I can drop the link.
That'd be great.
Into the chat. Last time I checked, it was $11. So again, this is not a terribly big amount. There is a description, MSD's website, of what you need to submit. It's pretty straightforward, but please follow it. You actually have to have a cover letter and officially request a license. You need to have your name, social, like date of birth, and the certification area that you're applying to. Again, I dropped a link into the chat. I believe it's also part of the handouts that you received. And once you have the map stamp, again, you're just going for number 1. I'm a graduate of the Maryland approved education preparation program. And again, there's no trick. The trick is, please read the instructions. That's the only trick here. Questions? No? Okay, so you guys will be licensed in early childhood, which is pre-K through 3rd grade. Once you are licensed in that area, you can add additional certifications. Music, biology, math. The way you do that is pass the Praxis 2 for that particular certification area. If you add another cert area, that makes you more competitive, but it also means that your principal can assign you to teach that particular class. So if you are adding additional certification areas, please make sure that you are actually ready to teach those cert areas, because you might be assigned to do that. Okay, let's see. So we talked about how you get your license, what to do. I stressed 2 things for you guys to remember. Anybody can tell me what those 2 things were?
We're in charge of getting our license.
Ta-da! And the other one is, please, please, please check your transcript before you order it. We are looking at late January, possibly early February. We can start looking, mid-January. Again, I need to wait for your graduation stamps to post. That's when I can notify the registrar. And then there's this nice old lady who actually has to go in and manually type in your stamp. So it takes time. For those of you who graduate in May, again, we are looking at mid-June, possibly early July, because that is a bigger graduating class. Everything will take longer. So again, please check your transcript before you order it. And this is your responsibility to either through the school system or through MSD directly obtain your teaching license. If anybody's going out of state now or in the future, you have completed a nationally accredited program, which means that most states should accept your teaching license. Many states usually do. They may require you 1 or 2 additional things, like There's a history of Texas test if you go to Texas, or Pennsylvania, I believe, has an additional reading requirement. Again, once you have your teaching license, it's easier to transfer your teaching license once you obtain it in Maryland than not have it and try to get a teaching license from a different state. Usually there's a form, an out-of-state college verification form. Please send it to me. I'm the one who signs it and stamps it and sends it back. And I know there will be some panic along the way. You guys have my contact information. Feel free to email me. If you need a letter to hold you over until your transcript is done, or if there are questions about Praxis, again, you will have to have all 3 of those different Praxis tests with a passing score. Any questions, concerns?
So I have a question. So I passed 2 of my Praxis tests, but I'm retaking the tree one end of this month. Will that impact? There's like an echo. Sorry. Will that impact like applying for a license, or not the license? Like when I get my stamp, like will I still be able to apply once I pass that test?
So I need to see all of the Praxis scores before I can recommend your name to the registrar.
Oh, okay.
Again, grades are not due until early January. So the names are sent over usually mid-January once the graduation stamps are posted. So again, if I see it before then, I will send your name over with the badge. But if you get it later, that's okay too. Just send it to me. Every week or 2, I get some of these Praxis scores that, yay, I can finally send them over. So, don't wait. Don't be nervous. Once you have it, send it, and I can send you on your way and with your transcript.
Okay, thank you.
There was maybe one other question. Mm-hmm. Jen, did you have anything else you wanted me to touch on?
No, I think we have all your handouts on Blackboard. They're the same ones we had last year, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. Oh, one more thing I just remembered. MSD is offering the emergency licensing due to this very unusual situation. So again, you can get an emergency license without Praxis score. If you want to start teaching, or for those of you who graduate in May, in the interim, you want to start teaching, you can get an emergency license. But once you get the map stamp, please make sure you switch it over, because you get paid more with a regular teaching license than either with a provisional license, either one of you have that, or with an emergency license. So again, you can start teaching without the Praxis as things stand right now, but it's better for you financially and all other ways to get a regular teaching license. Yes.
So I just wanted to make sure I understood. The map stamp is what you were talking about, going under the text box on our transcripts?
That is the map stamp.
Okay.
The stamp is the text box. Again, feel free to email me. You guys cannot really call me these days, but if you want to hop on Zoom, to chat your questions, let me know and we will set something up. All right, guys. Good luck. Hang in there. I know this is weird, but you're almost there.
I have a question, and I know I'm late, so I didn't want to hold everyone up. But if you're about to leave, can I ask you it?
Sure.
Okay, so if we don't finish the Praxises, I caught the tail end of it in time. Do we just graduate in May?
Yes.
Okay.
But once you have it, please send it to me because I have this long list of pending students that I really like to, send them to their rightful place with MSD license. So even if you graduate and it takes you 2 years to get your Praxis, just email it to me because the ETS website database doesn't always have everybody. So please email it to me. If you are going to teach, you need the map stamp, you need a license. And that is just the easiest way to move forward in this profession.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Sure. Okay, going once, going twice. Alrighty. Have a good evening. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Marta. Okie doke. Kayla, I'm sorry you didn't receive it. I don't know why it didn't go through.
Yeah, I saw your email saying that it was going to be on our calendar, and I knew I was going to be 10 to 15 minutes late because I had to handle some family thing. So when I came in, I was on my calendar. I'm like, I don't have the link. So it's okay.
Yeah, I think there's another Kayla Mac that has a slightly different email handle from yours. It's the same name. So when I type the names in, I have to double check and see that it's the right email address because it's the same exact name.
It's okay.
Yeah. Okie doke. So we are set. I'm going to stop recording here and we are set to go unless anybody needs to share something, ask something. Are we good? Are you guys holding it there? Like you're good? Yes.
I had a question. I was actually working on my SLO worksheet, and what do you mean by formative sources of data? Like, what would that be?
You're cutting out, Shelby. You're working on what? On which assignment?
I'm sorry. I'm working on the SLO worksheet.
Okay.
I was wondering, what do you mean by formative sources of data?
So you're implementing your SLOPE project for 2 weeks, right? And you want to have your baseline data, knowing where your children start off from, and then you have your summative evaluation at the end, knowing where they ended. A formative would be something that happens in the middle of those 2 weeks when you're trying to gauge if those strategies that you're using are actually helping the children get to that summative evaluation at the end, meeting the learning objective that you want them to meet or in the percentage that you want them to meet, right? So you're not waiting until the end to say, oh, well, they didn't meet it. You're sort of gauging in the middle in formative assessment style to see if they're progressing. And it could be observations. I'm going to be observing them and taking notes, or I have a checklist on hand that I'm going to be making sure that students are sort of on the right track to meeting this learning objective in 2 weeks. Some sort of record that you're going to be able to make sure that they're on the right track.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Questions? Success stories to share? Are we good? Okay. Well,
Can I say after
Yes.
Dr. Mata to ask you a question?
Sure. Sure, Kayla, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm finished my 2-week block plan, but I have to edit it, and mine is super long just because of all the accommodations I have to do for my students' needs. So, is it okay if I edit it and send it in the same day as my SLO?
Yes, that's fine. That's fine.
And then my SOL proposal, I met with my assistant principal, and because of my students' needs and also because of how some classes have more kids that have been virtual and some have had no kids because of their behaviors, a lot of the parents are like, I can't sit there all day with them. Mm-hmm. So in the blue room where I'm interning, which are third graders, second graders, a lot of them need a lot of support. So their parents are there some days and some days they're not. So I feel like the data wouldn't be as accurate because I'm not in person with them as opposed to this classroom silver. Last year I interned in silver classroom and it's third grade, but some of them are on the line of fourth grade. But the third graders in there, I wanted to do my SLO with because they're verbal and they're able to independently interact virtually. So I was wondering if that's okay. I was doing my SOL on vocabulary. Our school, for literacy, students will become proficient, I think like 50% of the time with literacy skills, holding pretty much print concepts and sight words. But I asked my principal if I could put in the content specific vocabulary since I'm specializing in science and social studies this year. And she said, okay. So for the 2 weeks, I was going to collect data and analyze it if they're able to read, recognize, and correctly use content specific vocabulary. So I was wondering if that was okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. You can select the group that you want to work with, the content area that you want to work with, the learning objective that you want to facilitate. Yeah, and
they're still third grade, and it's still to the third grade standard, mm-hmm. But they're more of a advanced group than Blue Room.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Typically, if you see the slope projects from the past, students typically look for, the struggling group or the low performing group to help them out. But that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. And I think that for now, especially in our situation right now, you choose a group of students that you think you're going to be able to work with in that period of time.
Yeah, Blue Room's been awesome, but like I said, their parents aren't as cooperative. So if I want to take like extra data outside of the classroom time, it's like pulling teeth to get them to cooperate sometimes.
Right. Yeah, no, and then you won't get, accurate results. And if things happen, because things might happen during those 2 weeks, even if you select a group that you think you're going to be able to work with, you can still at the end say, okay, well, these were the results that we obtained, but you can justify them. Right? So if the children didn't meet the goal at the end of the 2 weeks, you can say, okay, these are other factors that influence, like maybe some of them got sick, or some of them didn't have the help of parents, or some of them couldn't attend the sessions, or they were absent, or whatever the situation was. You can just justify it that way in your results and explain, okay, the goal wasn't met, or was met for some students and not for all of them because of, and then you explain what occurred.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much for that clarity.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, I think we're good. I recorded it, so I'm going to post it. I'll post it onto Blackboard. I'll let you know where. I'll find out a good spot for it to be found, and I'll post it there if you need to go back and sort of rehear Marta's instructions for the certification process.
Okay, and Dr. Marta, if we don't graduate, but we finish your course and finish the portfolio and stuff, is that just all going to be in our profile? So when we do send in our Praxis scores, they can just pull it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Okie doke. Great seeing you all.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.